All right, class, this video is going to help you with the fusion components and parts to this activity, okay, to refresh you and then show you how to set the material properties of the parts that you make. You're going to be asked to create a cylinder. First, you're going to create a circle to a specific area, so you're going to have to calculate the radius or diameter for it. You're then going to be asked to take that circle and create a cylinder to a specific volume. So you're going to need to calculate what the height is going to be. You're then going to set that material to ABS plastic, answer some questions, and then answer some other questions pertaining to the surface area in painting it. Okay, so let's go ahead over here. This is what yours is going to look like when it's done. Just notice what I have here. I have a cylinder, rectangular prism, and irregular pod seed shape as their own components that you can click on and look at each one independently. And that's what you're going to need to do in order to use the tool in here that you want to use. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll come back to that activity sheet and look at the others. From this top layer, we need to create a new component. We're going to call this one cylinder. Come back to this top layer, create new component. Let's call this one rectangular prism. Come back to this top layer, create new component, and we will call this one irregular pod seed shape. There we go. Okay, so coming into the cylinder one, let's go ahead and create a sketch on this bottom plane. Create that circle to the correct diameter that you need to get the area you want. You're going to extrude it. So go ahead and finish the sketch and go to extrude, or just hit the letter E from inside the sketch. And you need to bring it to a certain height. Okay, so I'm just going to bring it to this height right here. It is not the correct height and it is not the correct diameter. But there you go. So you're going to get a cylinder that is very specific in size. Okay, you're going to be asked to set the material property of it. So I'm going to come over here on the cylinder layer. I'm going to right click it, go to physical property. It wants you to set it to plastic ABS. So if you drag ABS plastic into the part, but just to be safe, if you drag it into that layer up here, it's a little safer. Like that, it'll turn the color of whatever that material is. You go ahead and hit close out. If you right click on the layer right there on that component and go to properties and go to physical properties, you now have the density of ABS plastic, you have the surface area of this cylinder, and then you have the weight of this cylinder depending on its density. So it is the volume times the density will give you the mass weight. Okay, so that's what you need to do. And then you're going to use that information under properties to answer these questions. The next one you want to do is a rectangular prism. Let me go in here. Let's go to the rectangular prism layer. Let's create a sketch on that same plane. Drag this guy over. You're going to be asked to make a square with a certain area. So I'm just going to say it is 2 tab 2 area, like that. Right, I'm going to go ahead and hit E to extrude. You're going to have to extrude this to a certain height to give you the volume that is being asked of you to get. So let's just say that's the volume. At this point, right click, physical properties. We can go ahead and click, let's just say, well, let's go ahead and set it correct. Wants you to set this to silver. Let's drag silver in. There we go. Hit close. Let's right click on it. Go to properties. You can see that it says silver right here, so you know that it's set to the correct one. It's a way to kind of check that. And then there we go. We got the density of silver, the volume of this rectangular prism, the mass of it, which is the density times the volume, gives you the mass. And then we have the surface area of the 6 sides total. Okay. Final shape that you're going to do is this irregular pod shape. It's a little more involved, not hard, but just pay attention. Create a sketch. On this bottom plane, drag over. Okay, so we're going to make an ellipse. So I asked you to make an ellipse with a certain major. Okay, so let's just say it was 5. Okay, so let's just say it was 5. Click, and then make the minor axis. So 5 and 2 is going to be the major minor that I use right now. You're going to have to figure out what the minor axis needs to be in order to make this area right here. So I can help you out with that. And then I ask you that what the minor axis length would need to be in order to do that. Okay, so once you've made that an ellipse, you're going to follow it up by taking a line, run it right down the middle. So use the trim tool and cut away half of it. You now have the shape to make the pod. So I'm going to go ahead and finish sketch. I'm going to hit the rotate that object. And then the axis is going to be this axis right here. And that's what you use to create that egg pod seed shape. Okay, so there you go. That's that one. Right click over here to go to physical properties. This one needs to get set to, I think, mild steel. Okay, so that's the default one is right there, I believe. And then, of course, you can right click again, go to physical properties, see that's steel. Make sure that you click the mild steel one. And then here's the mass, here's the volume, here's the density of that mild steel. Okay, and you can use that to answer the questions. You know you've set it up right when you can toggle in between the 3 of them and look at them independently, like so. And then when you go to the top layer, you can look at all 3 of them like that. Once you've made them, answered the questions, make sure your data panel's open, your browser's open, okay? Like this. Come on. Just like this. And make sure that I can see your sketches, like so. There you go, and I can kind of see your sketches through them. And then simply take a picture of this whole entire screen and make sure that you put it here, down here on the bottom, place a screenshot of your Fusion model. So you're going to answer these questions. You can show the calculations on what you did in order to get those. On the irregular shape, you're going to set it to mild steel and then reset it to cast iron to answer some questions later. And then on the rectangular prism, you're going to set it to silver, and then you're going to change it and reset it to gold to answer another question. Okay, so that's your video. I hope this helps. Call me over if you need help calculating any of the variables that you need to calculate.